Last year, I only finished 2 games. One was Expedition 33 and the other was Inazuma 11 Victory Road. One came out in April, the other one in November. And that honestly shocked me because I spent hundreds of hours on my Steam Deck and on my Switch collectively this past year of 2025. And I've kind of realized that that's typically how I play video games. I only complete maybe 2 to 3 video games a year, and it's been like that for God knows how long. And in 2025, I was honestly playing all the time, but I had almost nothing to show for it. If you're someone who's only has a few hours a week to play games, but your backlog keeps growing and you're not actually finishing anything, I think that you can definitely relate to this video. So over time, gaming started to feel pretty different for me as an adult, and not really in a good way. Oftentimes with job and work, I was burnt out and I kept defaulting to comfort games, kind of like 2K or Madden or Minecraft, if you will. And I just maybe even if I wasn't playing video games like that, I would just sit there watching YouTube videos about gaming or about people's tier lists instead of actually playing those games. Um, and this was probably towards the end of December, um, right around the holidays. I started seeing posts on Reddit as well as on YouTube, people sharing their JRPGs that they finished that year. And then they'd rank them 10, 12, sometimes 15 completed games. And that really hit me hard because honestly, they probably didn't have more time than me. They just had a plan or they were a lot more organized than I was. And my biggest decision I realized was having that decision paralysis as well as possibly FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. There's so many choices, there's too many games, and really not enough direction on my part. And that's when I realized I don't want gaming to feel like this anymore. I want it to feel meaningful again, exciting, and fulfilling. And I would have that once or twice a year, but I want to experience that more throughout my year. I want to kind of promote myself from this casual gamer to somebody who takes his gaming more seriously because I love game. So going into 2026, I'm changing how I game completely. And the first thing that I did was create a backlog tracker in Google Sheets. I know that might seem excessive to some of you guys, but I really need to write down things, and I love using Google Sheets for that to help me organize my thoughts and organize things. And every game that is in my backlog goes in there, and I split it up by year. And in each year, 2026, for instance, I split it up by month and I log the games that I'm playing. I write down notes on them. I organize my games in my backlog into tiers based on how badly I actually want to play them. Doing this alone, uh, just the past couple weeks has helped me remove so much friction when it comes to gaming and so much friction when it comes to choosing what video game to play. I'm not scrolling endlessly anymore in my Steam library or on Steam sales. I'm really just choosing intentionally from that list. And gaming stopped being or feeling, I guess, so random and started feeling a lot more deliberate. The second rule is a big one, and I'm only allowing myself to have 3 to 5 games in rotation at a time. And I usually have about 8 to 12 hours a week to play video games. And sometimes I'm just not in the mood to play something heavy like a tactical JRPG. Maybe I want to play an action RPG or something like Cyberpunk. So instead of forcing myself to only play one game for that month and finishing it, I want to keep a mix of games. Short games, right? Anywhere between 10 to 20 hours long, medium length games, 20 to 40 hours long, and then a longer game, possibly that's 40 to 70 hours to complete. And what's been really helpful is I just found out about that website, howlongtobeat.com, that helps me understand how long a game might take. So I'm not just lying to myself about how many I can realistically finish. And this gives me also a lot of flexibility. And I can choose if I'm in the mood to play a shorter game, a quicker game, or a longer game. And it really helps me just pick the game and the genre and allowing that to match with my mood and still make progress on my backlog. Now, a lot of my backlog is JRPG because I really want to get into them and experience them in full. So most of those run pretty long, but there are some that are around 20 to 30 hours that I can definitely add to there. Now, onto my third rule, and it's simple but powerful. My goal is to finish 2 to 3 games per month, not really rushing through them or binging them, just consistently wanting to move forward. Now, this might change. It might be one to two. And I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't finish a game per month. It could just be a busier season of life. But that is my plan. I want to be able to look at 2026 and say, hey, I completed 10 to 15 games this year and have fond memories on those games. And finishing games again gives me a sense of completion, that feeling of, yeah, I actually experienced this. I can talk about this with other people. I can watch videos and understand how they feel. And my backlog, hopefully, it doesn't feel like I don't think it'll ever go away, but not as much of a looming monster anymore, if you will. It's something that I can be actively working through and towards. Now, my fourth and final rule is probably going to be the hardest, but also the most free. If a game does not grab me, I'm just going to stop playing it. There's no guilt, not forcing myself to do it. I either move it back into the backlog or just remove it completely from my gaming library. Not deleting the game, but I mean like from my backlog list because it's not something that interests me. Not every game I'm going to vibe with. Not every game deserves my time. And I found forcing myself through something that I'm just really not enjoying is the fastest way for me to feel burnt out because, somebody on social media, on YouTube talked about it. And I'm like, I want to experience that too, but it just doesn't vibe with me. That's okay. That doesn't mean that dropping a game makes me a failure. It's just curating to what I like. And I pretty much lean heavily to like tactical JRPGs and very story based games and sometimes action games. But yeah, so that is going to be my new approach. And I can just tell you, I'm so excited entering into 2026 for that to help me have more focus, more enjoyment, and honestly, just better memories in gaming. I don't want to feel overwhelmed anymore. I don't want to feel disconnected. And I definitely don't want to feel like I'm failing at something that I love to do because gaming isn't about just brain rotting away time. For me, it's about experiencing worlds outside of my own and the memories that come with those story that I experience. So I'll leave you with this. What is your plan to actually have more fun completing games this upcoming year? I'd love to hear about your approach to gaming this year because at the end of the day, we all deserve to enjoy the time we put into it. With that being said, guys, this is Dexter from Retro Dex signing out.